Star Wars was a big influence on me because it came out in '77. I was born in '66, so I was right at the right age for that thing to hit. And it was before all the hype. You know, it was the first to kind of the popcorn blockbusters. You had that, and then you had Spielberg's films. So you had like Jaws and that. But before then, it was still the '70s. You know, it was '70s movies. And I remember seeing, I don't even remember seeing a commercial. I remember seeing like a picture in the newspaper, like the New York Post or something, about the movie. And it was after it was out already, and it was like, this looks pretty cool. Or it was coming out, I forget. And I saw the picture of like Chewbacca and Han Solo, and whatever the headline was, I was intrigued. And I went to see it, and then it was just like, it just pinned my ears back just looking at that thing. And I was just mouth agape. And just like everybody else who grew up in that period and didn't know about it.
I think Star Wars is such a part of people's lives, and it's something that they just see now on a regular basis, that when you say George Lucas and he created it, I don't think people give enough full value to what that means. I like to think I do, but I worked with him. So I've seen him create it. I've seen the person that comes up with the lines and the dialogue and understands Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker in a very deep level, because those characters are a part of him. And for my part, you know, joining Lucasfilm, I always respected that. I never felt that Star Wars is something that was mine. I felt privileged to be a part of telling the story. I felt grateful that I got to do it with George.
There are such universal themes in the Star Wars stories, and ironically, I think people feel that it, you know, despite being fantasy, science fiction, it reflects the world we actually live in its inclusiveness and diversity and conflict and themes of good against evil. And so it's fascinating to experience that as a child, you know, to have your imagination so enriched by these stories, and then now as an adult to look back and rekindle my relationship to Star Wars, and in particular those Star Wars movies and the tone of this series, which I find is a little bit more Empire Strikes Back and a bit grittier and edgier Star Wars. That I realize, wow, these you know, in terms of war and family and personal conflict and personal journey and personal relationships, it reflects so much what our actual reality as human beings on this planet is.
The show, to me, in the most basic storyline, is about a man who's been following a way of life and has that way of life sort of upended by the introduction of the baby. And it sort of changes his life, and I think he's reevaluating his priorities and what means something to him in his life in the world. So I think it's really sort of about a man discovering something about himself that he had never known until he met the child.